Welcome to this week's episode of the Success Realtor Podcast by yours truly, Colleen Wood. Here is where we celebrate success in real estate and share the wisdoms and struggles so others can be successful too. If you're a new listener, I'm the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders, and I'm known for helping realtors earn a lot more money in commissions without selling their soul to the industry and while maintaining balance with what's most important in life. I am absolutely over the moon excited to be talking to Jackie Wickens, broker owner of Yellowstone Brokers out of Southwest Montana. Jackie, in the last year, you closed 34 units for over $31 million in a state that has only about 1 million people. That's huge. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yeah, of course. Side note, that's with my teammate, Trecie. We're a duo.
Absolutely.
You just get me this morning. So
yeah, absolutely. Trecie's not with us today, but Jackie's going to talk about her team. And yes, it was a team effort to do those numbers, but it's taking a team. And that's partly what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about your team and we're going to talk about your very unique branding that you guys have.
Cool. Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Awesome. So Jackie, just starting out, lay us some groundwork. What motivated you to even get started in real estate?
You know, I grew up kind of around the industry. My dad, amongst a million other things, serial entrepreneur, but he did some development, was partnered with a builder. So I just grew up on job sites, walking around. Every field hockey, soccer game we went to, we'd have to drive neighborhoods and look at real estate. And it sort of just was always in the background. My favorite was walking job sites, though, with my dad, like when projects were going on and camping out on the land when roads were going in. I have a lot of memories of that. So I found myself for fun, I would just drive around and look at property. And this would have been, I think I first wanted to get my license in about 2007. I got married in 2008 and I was like, you know what? I want to do real estate. I finished up with college, but that was when the market just totally tanked and everyone was like, well, it'd be dumb to get your license now. Don't do it. Don't do it. And so I kind of put it on the back burner. And then around 2011, things started to slowly warm back up and I found myself thinking about it again. And another friend who was in real estate at the time, who's still a realtor, Joey Duval, he actually encouraged me to get my license. He was like, you're obviously really passionate about this. Like, just go for it. So I was like, okay. And I got in at a really good time because it wasn't crazy like it is now. So there was time to get my feet under me, really learn and take advantage of the mentors that were around me. I had a lot of good people who were willing to help me, which is super important, in my opinion, in getting started in real estate. And it just sort of slowly, not so slowly. I feel like it kind of, just every year things kind of snowballed. More. And I just have a passion. I have a background in construction as well. Through college, I did timber framing, concrete, tile work, a little bit of everything, carpentry. And so I truly love homes themselves. And I like the potential that I see in them when I walk through one. And I like the idea of home. I think it's where all of life is centered around. And it's really amazing to be able to give that to someone, help someone find that like anchor point for everything else in their life. So there's just so many aspects of it that I am truly passionate about.
I love that. I love that. So you had a very beautiful idea about what real estate was going to look like as a career. Has that panned out for you, do you think?
You know, it's funny. When I got into real estate, the economy was seriously terrible. I had a new baby and I had $9 in my bank account. And I'm not even exaggerating. And I used to run out of gas showing property. It's like embarrassing. And so when I thought about what real estate was going to look like, I honestly felt like I didn't like sit back and like have this like, I didn't have this like grand like vision that it was going to be like, I'm going to be professional and I'm going to have my own brokerage. I was like, girls got to eat. My kids got to eat. And so I hit the ground running. And I like to joke that I got Detroit hustle in my blood. We're blue collar Midwest people. And I know how to work. That's the one thing I know how to do. I'll work anybody. So I just work ethic and hit the ground running. And it just kind of became what it is now with just, by putting the energy behind it, I guess,
I love that.
And knowing that I didn't really have a choice. It had to work. It had to work for me. It couldn't,
Absolutely.
I guess I could have failed, but it didn't cross my mind that I would. I guess that's the difference. So
you had no other options mentality of like, it has to work. There is no plan B in this picture for you.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that that's so important for people getting started is you have to burn the boats. You have to make a commitment to either you're in or you're out.
Yeah. And it's funny. They always give the advice that like, when you get your real estate license, you need to have a year's worth of savings and house payments. And I was like, I don't even have gas money. So anyways, I was going to go for it. And
Well, it's worked out very well for you with $31 million in production last year with your partner, Trecie. I think that that's humongous. It's worked out very well. So, speaking of Trecie, why did you guys decide to join forces together?
We have kind of a funny history. We met filming a TV show. I was filming an episode of a show called Living Big Sky, and our cameraman, we were at like a Rotary event, and the cameraman asked me if if I knew Trecie, because she was there with her broker at the time. And I was like, no. And he goes, oh, you two would really hit it off. And so we met, and it was just like, I mean, it's so corny, but it was like instant, like soulmate best friends, you know? We're just totally on the same level. We were both moms with young kids in the same business. We've always been matched work ethic wise and production wise. Like since we met, we were always like making the same production every year. So what happened was I ended up switching brokerages because I was like, man, I like these people. She was with Small Dog Realty and Pam McCutcheon at the time. And Pam was a great person to work for. She taught me a lot and believed in me too at the time and really was always so encouraging. So I ended up going over to Small Dog, working with them. And when we started working together there, HGTV, who the show Living Big Sky was running through, found out we were working together and was like, oh, we want to do a show with these two. So we ended up kind of getting together over the TV stuff. But then we realized that working in a partnership in a really crazy, stressful business, it's the only way to do it. I'll never go back. And again, back to like matching lead, like the amount of leads we brought in, the work ethic, the production, that part was important because we don't ever have to think about it or be like, hey, you're not pulling your weight. It just sort of always, I don't even know if I could replicate it with anyone else. That's the thing. I just feel like God put us together to do this right now in our life. And I just feel really incredibly grateful because, I mean, it makes it a heck of a lot more fun to have your best friend get to work with you side by side. And it really takes the stress off when things get tough because you can laugh about things or you can volley when you have a difficult client. I'm like, I need a break. You got to handle this, you know? So yeah, gosh, am I getting off topic here?
No. You're sending it right in the right direction. And I'm just going to build off of that because you touched on it just a little bit, but a huge part of your background is the building and construction, and you like literally can build and fix. I feel like anything. You're so skilled with that. And then Trecie is also skilled with that stuff, but she has a huge amount of like marketing and home design and decor and kind of that whole background. And then you guys kind of put that together. It's an unbelievable combination.
It's fun. We joke that like we're going to retire and just have like a home goods like company someday because we truly both enjoy that design aspect. She has a really good, I'm like more looking at like the nuts and bolts sometimes. Like I get like, okay, this needs to happen for this to work. Or I'm like looking at the bigger picture and she's really good at like the details with the design and colors and all that for sure.
Yeah.
It's fun.
You both have small kids and husbands and lives. How does having a team avail you to have more balance?
Well, first and foremost, you can take vacations without stress for the first time. And, I don't know, we've been officially teamed up like maybe it's been 3 years since we've been true 50-50 partners in everything. And before that, it's like you go out of town and your phone's still ringing. You don't ever get the mental break from the list, the to-do list. And so having someone with boots on the ground when you want to go with your family and check out for a week, that's like the greatest gift right there. Then also it allows us to handle more clients because the cool thing is Trecie lives in Livingston and then I'm in Bozeman. So if we have listings in Paradise Valley or Livingston, it's easy for her to service them and run over there. And then for the Bozeman ones, I'm always available. Or if the roads are bad and we've got something going on that side of the pass and something over here, there's always one of us to handle something.
That's so smart.
So again, it just lets us be able to handle more business with less stress, which is like in this business, that's gold. That's worth its weight in gold.
And if one of you, with having small kids, if one of you is having a rough morning or is having something going on with the kids where, somebody broke their arm, it just allows you to have that backup. And I've seen you guys.
Yeah. And we've
together.
been through that for sure. We've had a couple, like pretty major accident happen in Trecie's family. And they had to basically check out and just take care of that for a while. And so it felt so good to be able to just step up and be like, hey, I've got this. And then, my son had his tonsils out. I had surgery in December and was out for a couple of weeks. And it's like, okay, there's just no stress when these big like life events happen that you don't have any control over. Someone's got your back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can just focus on what you need to be focusing on without getting that like almost angry feeling when you're trying to deal with family things and your phone continues to ring.
Oh, I
that
don't know what
feeling.
that feels like at all, Kelsey. Yes.
So like,
Great.
oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. My phone keeps ringing and I have no
I'm
life
so
balance.
grateful for these calls right now.
I'm so grateful because
Yeah.
we are, but it can be hard. So that's what you guys have done is you've really built that out to back each other up. It's really beautiful. So talking about the team, Jackie, you guys have now built out your team beyond just the two of you. What does
Yep.
that look like?
So it's cool. We wanted to get our wheels greased and kind of get a good foundation laid with just the two of us under the brokerage name. We have 4 agents working under us now. I'm the managing broker. Trecie's got a broker's license too. And really, we're focused on bringing in people whose personalities fit with our team because when you're a small brokerage, and I learned this from being a small dog, it really does feel like a family and everybody's personality, like the dynamics, to me, that matters. I want everyone to feel comfortable and at ease in the office. And if they're not, be able to resolve conflict by people being like, handling it appropriately. So first and foremost, we look at just, are they a good fit for our brand and for just our energy in the office? And then also like work ethic. At first, I didn't want to take on any brand new agents because I was like, man, we're so busy with the training. And we did take on one and she's really sweet, Caitlin. But I do like the idea of bringing in people who kind of have done a few deals already, kind of know what they're doing, and then we can grow from there. But yeah, but again, that's the funny thing. Treats and I joke about this is like neither of us are money motivated.
Yeah.
I think that's what works for us in a way. It's like, yes, we want to pay our bills and like put money in the bank, but not if it's going to cost me my sanity, my enjoyment of life, and just stress me out to the point where I get sick all the time. I want to be able to handle each client that we have, give them the time and attention that they deserve and enjoy working with them. And when you're just like running around with your hair on fire all the time because you're trying to do more, that's like the definition of hell to me. So we're motivated by quality of relationships and quality of life overall.
That was going to be my question. What motivates you? So that's absolutely perfect. And
Yeah.
speaking of hair on fire, you put your hair out, your hair's not on fire anymore because you have an incredible transaction coordinator.
Let's talk about the real rock star of the team, guys. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, 'cause she makes you look like $1 million. What does she do for you specifically? I know a lot of our listeners are really interested in this model, so spell this out for us.
So what's amazing is with our contract coordinator, she's remote. So that's my first tip. Don't think you have to look around for someone that lives where you are. The contract coordinator that we have hired, she has a background in doing this for our real estate agents, top producers. So she knows the ropes. She's worked with other agents in Montana before, so she knows Montana contracts. But from the minute we go, well, she couldn't, oh my God, what doesn't Becky do? We'll start there. So she'll like order our property profiles. She'll, get everything kind of prepped for us to then do the final input on listings and like review everything. But what I love is the minute something goes under contract, like there's the email that goes out to everybody involved with the important dates, bam, 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 contracts attached. They go to the title company. She's following up on, is the earnest money due? Has it arrived yet? The inspection date is next Friday, making sure the inspection's been scheduled. Oh, the notice is due tomorrow. Do you have it? Like she's sending everyone reminders because that's the hardest thing about being a realtor is like the endless mental list of like all these little details. And trust me, I keep lists and calendars, but it's still when you're the only one responsible for it, there's that constant anxiety of am I dropping the ball on something? So she holds the ball. We'll put it that way all the time. I know the ball's not being dropped. And she's always like, if she makes like the smallest mistake, she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you're still human, Becky. Don't worry. And it's never even like a big deal. It cracks me up. I'm like, oh my God, we'd be like up to our eyeballs if we didn't have you. Yeah, and communication. The cool thing is like when we are running around with clients and we're showing property, Becky offers that constant line of communication between the clients, us, title, anything that needs to happen in the transaction. So it always feels like people are being taken care of when we're super busy, and they are. And like she's just such an integral, important part of the team for us for that purpose.
Right. And
Yeah.
a huge part of who you guys are is you have a very high level of creativity. And, whether it's the design or a remodel or a TV show or anything like that, like you have to have your anxiety level low in order to be creative like that and want to pursue some of these passion projects. If you were up to your eyeballs in transactions with all the volume that you guys have done, it would be impossible. You would never have an element of creativity.
That is so true. Stress and anxiety, that constant like fight or flight mode, like it kills everything creative in me. And that's been like the most beautiful thing of like figuring out this team thing and like having Becky over the last couple of years is I feel like that part of me is like coming back alive. Like I play more music, I play guitar, I like want to
Yeah.
paint. Before I know it, I'll just be a starving artist. Well, I'm not
I
careful.
love that for you. I love that for you because you are so artistic and it's so beautiful to watch that, kind of develop. I love following you on social media. I love
Oh,
when you're
thanks.
showing us what you're doing. So keep doing that. And I'm glad that's working out. Would you ever go back to not having a Becky?
Oh, hell no. That's a hard hell no.
Hell no. And
No.
just for inspiration, like where does Becky live?
She lives in Colorado.
Okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
states away.
Worked with Montana agents
Mhm.
before. So, yeah, it's like whatever you're comfortable with and that person's skill set. I mean, but there's probably people around. I've had other people who are like, oh, they've either had their real estate license in the past. Those are the best ones and understand the transaction and the paperwork, but they don't want to do the real estate side of it,
Mhm.
but they
Mhm.
understand it. You've got something to mind there with them for sure.
Yes.
And like if
Yes.
they want to work at home, it's freaking awesome. Like, it would be a sweet job for the right people for sure.
Yeah. For the people that just really aren't salespeople, that just don't wanna go out and build relationships and drive around and show property, they just wanna show
Yeah.
paperwork. It's just a very specific type of person that's gonna wanna do that. So,
Highly organized helps.
highly organized, detail-oriented,
Mhm.
loves checklists. I
Yeah,
love that. I love that.
yeah,
I'm so excited, and I've gotten to work with Becky on my side of it too, and she just it's so on top of it. It's so
yeah.
nice to work with your team on that.
So are you, and so is your team, by the way.
Oh, thank you, thank you, and my team is remote too. I think that that's important that people know that, like, COVID taught us that remote works. It is a lifestyle thing where we can choose where we wanna live, and we can choose who we wanna work with, and even if you are, looking for employees that maybe don't live in Montana because, there's a high
Yeah.
rate of pay that you have to be able to pay to hire
Yes.
somebody that's living in Bozeman or Kalispell or some of these beautiful parts of the world, and you just have to pay so much more in order
Yep.
to get a quality person. Whereas if you shop in other states for those types of people, you can actually get a great person for a little bit less output in
Yes.
dollars. So that's a great one. And
They might be super grateful, to
yes.
pick up a job like that.
Hmm. And I think that
Hopefully.
Southern accent adds a little nice little spice to your transaction too. If someone has a real sweet little Southern drawl, I'm like, yeah, dang, that makes me happy just talking to you.
But titties.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you guys have an incredible brand presence with Yellowstone Brokers. Most notably, I think, for being real. You guys are
Oh,
real. You're not Bozeman bougie. You're not trying to be anybody else. It stands out so beautifully from everybody else that just kind of
thank
lines
you.
up in a row and looks exactly the same. What's your inspiration for that?
After being at several different brokerages, and I learned a lot from all of them. I really don't have anything bad to say about any
Oh.
place I've been because I
Mhm.
like was able to pull a lot of that. But it goes back to that creativity you're talking about. I didn't feel like there was any umbrella over us that truly reflected who I was. You always have like that overlay of what their brand is. And so when things calmed down after the TV show and we had a little bit of a breather, that creativity came back and it was like, okay, now we have a moment to like create something that's unique, that's different, that really represents who we are. And I mean, I wanted a brand that was very Montana because we are in Montana and that's who I am. And I love the lifestyle here. And I think like, why not promote that? I don't want a generic logo that looks like it could be in LA or New York, right? Like Yellowstone Brokers can pretty much be in one region, in my opinion, and that's okay. I want it to stand out. And I think too, everybody do you, whatever. But I've always been a little bit of an outsider. I feel like I'm social, but I've never been like even in middle school, like I used to win awards for like leadership because I wasn't part of cliques and like silly stuff. I just always kind of always felt like a little bit of an outsider,
Yeah.
yeah, which might sound funny. And I still kind of feel that way. So I'm like, okay, then do my own thing. And this is what you get. And I think too, when you are putting yourself out there authentically or honestly, like representing who you are, then you attract the kind of people that you wanna work with and wanna work with you. But if I were, like, gonna change my image for the business, then I'm gonna attract a different set of people, and I think it would just make business harder for me, I guess.
Yeah.
As I say, there's an ass for every saddle. It's my favorite saying. There's a client for every kind of agent out there,
Yeah.
and they all do a good job no matter what you look like. But I just want to be me, and I want that to be reflected. And it is hard because it's a changing culture as a whole, not just in real estate. Like women, I sometimes feel like I'm expected to look a certain way. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't feel professional enough because I'm wearing jeans. But I'm like, who cares? But that's me. But it can be an internal struggle sometimes. So I love the feedback, and it means so much to me to hear that from you, being like, hey, what I see is real and it's a great brand and it stands out. And then it's just like a reminder of me like, oh, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you for the nice compliment.
Well, I just want to plug you because, people can find this information anywhere. I mean, there was a property that we owned that what I felt like was a difficult property to sell. I was really worried about selling it because it was a very specific type of property and it had a very specific look and needed a specific type of buyer and was on the side of a mountain and was,
Yeah.
was really going to have to be a buyer that was going to want a certain type of lifestyle. And
Yes.
I just looked at the property and I told my husband, I said, this has to have Jackie and Trecie on it because they're going to be able to sell a lifestyle. You can't bring in somebody else that is, your typical subdivision type realtor in order to sell this type of property. And you guys put it under contract so fast. I mean, you sold the things that mattered about it, like the views and the lifestyle and, the fact that there was wildlife like right out your back door. And you guys decorated in a way because it was empty. We didn't have anything in it. You decorated in a way that really just warmed it up. And I just thought that to me, like that was a challenging task, I would have thought. And you guys just took it to the 11th degree.
I think that's cool. Or I like the love that you brought that up because I guess when you were asking about like what makes us different in a way, like that is what I do envision our brand doing is selling a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And like, I love those more unique properties. Like we sold a yurt this year on 5 acres for an ungodly amount of money. It was so cool. We sold a Forest Service cabin up Highlight and like these slightly different, like funky standout properties. Like those are what get me excited. Like, yes, we do sell subdivision houses and they're beautiful, but like these like kind of more challenging, fun ones that you have to get creative about how you're going to market them or think of like, it's not just putting it on there. You have to think about who's going to buy this. And you got to think about how to convey that to that person that this is going to fit that need, right?
Right.
And so thanks for pointing that out.
No, you guys did such a great job. And I don't think anybody could have done it like you guys did. I was so happy with that. So thank you so much for that. But not only are you putting out like a physical brand, like with how you look in your marketing, but you guys have also created some pretty cool swag and some different things that you're putting your branding on.
Do I need to go grab them?
Yeah, grab it. Grab it. I mean, I love that you guys have created your own stuff.
Yeah, you got that. The bread means like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just love them.
Colleen's favorite. See,
it's branded Yellowstone.
But the real cream of the crop here is the socks. These are like the most comfortable thing ever. So
I just love that you're doing that. You're not doing travel coffee cups. You're not doing cutting boards. You're not doing pens. You're doing things that are textile and about your home and being comfortable in your home and with those socks. And I just love both of those products so much. And I love that you put your branding on it. And you didn't just like stick a label on it. It's so it's your colors, it's your branding, it's your everything about it. So that's really inspiring. So tell me, are there any exciting, cool branding things that you have in the future coming up?
Oh my gosh. You know what else we have? You can't see it, but Trecie, my little wizard, had several custom rug designs made as well, like kind of Western style rugs that we're going to have those. So that's another cool products down the line. I mean, this stuff feeds the creativity and it goes back to creating a brand and a logo that you love enough that even if you don't care about real estate, you'd want to wear the socks or you'd want to wear the hat, right? Because it's cool. It has a feel to it. It has a soul to it.
It does. It does.
But yeah, so anyway, sorry. I'm like, what was the last question?
No, you're perfect. You're perfect because, what a phenomenal clothing gift. And again, it just speaks to how you guys just take everything that you're doing and you take it and you put your own spin on it. And I just love watching what you guys do. So obviously, you guys were the co-stars of Mountain Mommas on HGTV, where you showcase your guys' design and construction know-how. How did you get involved with that project? Was it good for business? And is there any more TV for you guys on the horizon?
So that snowballed from doing the Living Big Sky shows, and it was phenomenal for business. It was a lot of work. We were doing that before we had our contract coordinator, and I didn't have a true like full-time assistant. So we were still selling real estate. We were filming oftentimes 5 days a week for a year straight, keeping our real estate business afloat and our families. And it was high stress. It was so much work, but it was the coolest experience. I mean, not many people get to have that experience, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it went to air, let's see, like right when COVID hit or like right before, and then the network sold. So the season, that show itself didn't get renewed. But honestly, to have to do 8 remodels in the COVID market again for another 8 episodes would have been a nightmare. So there's a silver lining if you ask me. But what they do, they run it on Marathon all the time still. I don't even know where. GAC, there's other, it's airs, and we still get clients from it. So
Wow.
how could it not be good for business when you're getting millions of marketing dollars pumped behind you, right? Constantly.
Yeah.
Just sort of keeps getting put out there. And then of course with the interest in Montana going through the roof after Yellowstone and the COVID scene, it's been very good for business. We do potentially have another opportunity coming up. We're kind of waiting to hear on that. And this one wouldn't be renovation. It would just be more just our day-to-day, like what we're doing with our real estate clients. Because of course, with prices going up, we did a couple smaller projects after our show, but real estate went nuts and we stayed plenty busy doing that. So we're not doing any real remodels right now. So it'll just be, showcasing the buyers, the property and their story. And if we get to do that, it'll be really fun because it'll be a completely different experience, I think, than how the first one went down.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm like, I'm at a nice, like, kind of calm point in my life after a good 10 years of chaos. So whatever happens, I'm up for it, right?
Yeah. So if somebody was, approached as a realtor, if somebody was approached to do a TV show, would you recommend that they do it?
Um, yeah. Yeah, of course. If it feels good to them, you have to trust your gut. It's also like a little scary to put yourself out there for the whole world to judge you and,
Mhm.
for people in Montana to say you're the one running Montana because you're making
Oh,
more people want to move here. I mean, we got that
yeah.
crap too. I still get it for running commercials from
Mhm.
random stoner kids from Bridger Bowl trolling your Facebook page. But
Yes.
and only once. But so yeah, I mean, it's a little scary to potentially have people either. I gotta say though, the overall response was people really connected with the show and loved it, and they were so kind on our social media and just for what you said is just that we come across, I guess, as ourselves and real and authentic, and people really like that. So yeah, if it's something in your heart that you want to do and it feels right to you, and the people involved in the project feel right to you, absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You touched on it a couple of times, and I just want to circle back to it. Is that, so many people saw this show Yellowstone, which, there's mixed feelings about it. I actually really enjoy the show.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's some things that can't be completely accurate. And those of us that are like in the livestock world or,
Yeah,
we actually live here, we can kind of see some things, which that to me is no big deal. I mean, in doing TV, like we've done a
yeah,
little bit of that, is that that there's some TV magic that needs to happen. But the
absolutely.
expectation that people have about moving to Montana, I think that that's the part that they don't like about the show is that nothing about living in Bozeman is like Yellowstone,
No,
and for the most part, they come to Bozeman, they come to Montana and they're seeing a lot of what they've seen wherever they came from. A lot
yeah,
of, we have subdivisions and we have franchises and chains and like different things that are, of
yeah,
course, available. But you guys are able to access for people that Yellowstone lifestyle because you understand it, you know where to
yeah,
find it. When somebody says, I want a Yellowstone lifestyle, you're like, heck yeah, I can show you that. And you're not going to find it in a subdivision in Bozeman. You're going to go find these odd properties that are
yeah.
maybe a yurt, maybe a cabin, maybe not going to have all the amenities that you found. But I just love that, how you can draw the two together.
Aw. Well, I think it's partially because those are the properties I'm drawn to. Like
Right.
would way rather be, I mean, I live in a canyon with state land around me myself. Like I like that peace
Mhm.
and quiet. I come to town for work and when I need stuff, but I like to get away from it. So part of what I love about this job is I love putting on some Merle Haggard and a hot cup of coffee and driving into the mountains or out onto the plains to look at property. I mean, that's like my happy place, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm happy to go explore and find the right little slice of heaven for someone outside of town.
Yeah.
You know?
I just don't know that everybody can do that, Jackie, and I think that that's what makes
Oh,
you special. Not everybody can do that. So, what do you think in helping other realtors listening to the show? What do you think is the most common reasons that realtors fail or give up in real estate?
Oh, big one in life that my dad taught me with just being an entrepreneur is fear.
Mm,
I mean, if you let fear dictate your next move, you're going to quit because real estate ebbs and flows. And there's times when you're like, I don't know when my next paycheck's coming, right?
mhm,
But if you stick with it, another one will come. So fear is a big one. You just have to learn to like overcome that fear of kind of the unknown and just know that if you're working hard and your intentions are right and you're out there that things will keep moving. I also think that there's a perception that real estate's really easy
mhm,
and that it's easy money and that you just get your license and you start just making bank.
mhm.
And it's not the case because you got to remember everybody out there knows 10 realtors
Yes.
and probably 8 of those realtors have more experience than you when you get started. And they may want to go with someone, who's got more experience until you have more. So the perception that it's going to be easy, like you have to come into it knowing that you're going to have to probably work your tail off to get going and also take advantage of people who want to mentor you and work with you. Like I've worked with people where they're like, "Oh, I don't have any business." And then you give them a lead and they don't do anything with it. I'm like, they don't happen by themselves. Just because I gave you a phone number for someone who wants to buy a house, like you have to nurture it. You have to nurture the relationship. So that's a big one. It's just like it takes time and it takes effort and it sometimes is really slow to get started. But then
Mhm.
once things start to move for you, they do tend to snowball, and keep growing and growing and growing. So you just have to get over that hump.
I think one of the biggest fears that people have getting started in real estate is just like you said, that you're going to have when you're getting started, you could be starting out with $9 in your bank account
Yep.
and you could be having no transactions that are on the horizon.
Yep.
How would you recommend that somebody manages the financial side of it? I mean, do you recommend getting a personal loan? Do you recommend having the 12 months worth of savings? Do you recommend having, a spouse that's working? Or how do you think is the way to get through that?
Faith.
Mhm.
Yeah, that it's gonna work out. But I think if you have either a partner that has an income and you guys can figure out how to budget for you to not have a steady income for a while, awesome. Or if you have like a HELOC on your property, so if things get tight, you at least have access to some money for utilities, bills, whatever you need, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
If you're in a position where you're coming out of maybe a job you've had forever, hated but made good money, and you've got savings, great. Any kind of like safety net, it's probably a good idea. But if you don't have one at all, you might be more motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. How about
But
part-time real estate? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm someone who believes that part-time real estate isn't a thing. You're either
Mhm.
in it or you're out. There's too many people who are in it. And if you want to be part-time, you should just put your license in referral mode and make some money that way because it's it's also like if you have like another job, like real estate is sort of on demand, especially in a dynamic, fast moving market, a property hits. If you're like, oh, I work the next 4 days, but we could go next Monday and look, well, the property very well may be under contract. Like things are shifting a little bit now. Things are sitting on the market longer, but overall, you kind of have to jump when you need to jump. So if you have a bunch of other obligations and it's part time, it's just, I don't think it works well for the client.
I
In that,
agree.
in the end, what we are serving is their needs. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I always feel like it's such a good recommendation to, go be somebody's assistant. Go work for somebody who is doing transactions.
Yes,
Mhm.
110%. It's funny though, we've had people work as assistants and then like the minute they see what you make on one transaction, then you're not either paying them enough and they've had their license all of 10 minutes,
Yep.
or they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to go do my own thing before they like really learn the ropes. So I do think that the more you get to work with someone who's been in the business, the more you'll learn and it's going to serve you better in the long run. I
Mhm.
really 100% believe that.
But
So if
have
you
enough
have someone that wants
humility.
to,
Yeah. Have enough humility to stick it out for a solid year,
yeah.
and to know that you're going to make pennies on the dollar, but you're getting gifted an education that you would have never been able to have if you'd have had to take 6 years of you learning all the things the hard way instead
Mhm.
of getting the fast approach with somebody who's actually doing transactions and you're learning from them and getting paid a little bit.
Yeah, still making a little money. It's funny, people get really frustrated when they put a lot of time and effort into, like, a client or a lead and nothing materializes. And it's like, sadly, that is a part of the business too. You
Mhm.
don't win them all. And that's another going back to like, people getting discouraged is like, you have to remember that's very normal too. Occasionally you spend a lot of gas money, you spend a lot of time and nothing happens because of it.
Mhm.
It all levels out in the end, It's not
Mhm.
like we're just rolling in it all the time here?
Yeah, there's a lot of expenditure that goes along with
Yeah.
nurturing and like
A
you like to
lot of
say.
coffee, a lot of
Uh-huh. Lots of ulcers from the coffee.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Mhm. Mhm. So, Jackie, tell me, what are you most excited about the future for you and Trecie?
This year, my focus, I'm shifting a lot more to the brand itself and how to grow the brand and bring on more people that align with us. And I'm really excited about that. We've had a little more time this winter to kind of like shift focus and back to like creating a brand that I love so much and I'm really proud of. It's like exciting to then think about what's next, what's down the road and start planning for like how as a whole the brand can grow, not just my personal real estate business and Trecie's.
Right.
And also being able to be a role model and a leader for other men and women. But like we have a gal that recently came over from another brokerage, and I won't name names, but there's just a lot of pressure in other structures of real estate offices to like be the winner, be the number one producer. Like your goals need to be set higher than that guy. And honestly, I think that's just a recipe for misery.
Mhm.
Like, why set yourself up to compare yourself to what everyone else is doing all the time for the rest of your life? Like, hell no. So, again, it's being a leader and showing people that you can have a really great business by focusing more on the relationships and like the soul of the business, what you're doing. You're helping people reach a huge life goal of theirs, whether it's buying an investment property or a second home that they've dreamt about for 30 years or their little cabin in the woods or their first home. Like, focus on the stuff that really matters with the business, not what other people are doing. And I see so much of that in the real estate culture as a whole. And it just makes me like, sometimes I'm just like, gross. I get why people think real estate is sometimes a gross profession because there's so
Right.
much of that. So, anyways, I love the idea of being able to be a mentor and a role model for younger agents coming into it so that they don't get caught up in that.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. That is so beautiful. Jackie, thank you so much for your time. I feel like I could
Thank
talk to
you.
you forever. You're one of my
I
most
know.
favorite people.
We're gonna catch
Um,
up on Zoom.
I know. This is how we
The
have to
whole
get
world to see.
together. I mean, we'll take it how we can get it, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Exactly. Love it.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. As a reminder, I'm the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders. What we are known for are three things. Number one, we close on time. Number two, we keep our realtors in the sales seat at all times by keeping them updated on their current transactions. And number three, when you entrust us with a lead, we follow up on that lead until they buy, fly, or die. Leads are never lost to our lack of follow-up. Our number one priority is for you to earn a lot more money in commissions so that you can improve the lives of your family, community, and in turn, our country. So, can I count on you for that next buyer lead? I would love to work with you too. Also, if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please just reach out to my office. All right, we'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Bye bye.